I'm Indy, and this is Out of the Trenches, where I sit here in the chair of wisdom and answer all your questions about the First World War. Moist Man 69. Really? Moist Man 69 writes, "Hey Indy, I have a burning question." I'm surprised he doesn't have a burning rash. I have a burning question for Out of the Trenches. Did the French or British bomb the German mainland like Germany did to London and Paris? Did France or Britain use bombers to bomb any major German cities or factories? I always hear of German raids on London, but never hear of the Allies doing anything similar. Love the show. Okay. Well, we did already talk about some endeavors by Allied bombers into the German Rhineland in our strategic bombing special. But let me give you some other examples that are often overlooked. While the British RFC, the Royal Flying Corps, concentrated its forces primarily for home defense and combat over the front lines, the French Air Service began flying into Germany quite early on, since the battles for Alsace and Lorraine were being fought pretty close to the German heartland. Many larger German cities were within the reach of French aircraft. At the beginning of the war, they were mostly overflown for observation and propaganda purposes. But later on, with the technical capability available, the first bombing runs happened. One of the first active bombings of a German city was in June 1915, as the city of Karlsruhe was attacked by a total of 23 planes, dropping 107 bombs. The French officials wanted to hit the garrison there, but the raid killed almost exclusively civilians. One bomb dropped on a circus tent and killed a lot of children. Of these 768 Germans who died in total due to Allied bombing runs, 168 alone were killed there in Karlsruhe. Another city was FREIBURG, further to the south, and that was the headquarters of the German troops fighting in the Vosges. The bombing of the city in April 1917 was quite unique, since it was carried out in conjunction with dropping a lot of leaflets, which explained to the citizens why they were being bombed that day, as revenge for the torpedoing of the ship Asturias. This official revenge bombing, the purposeful bombing of civilians in retaliation for something that happened far away, is not something that had happened before. By February 1918, the British were joining those bombing runs in force. They aimed to attack the industrial heartlands of Germany, like Cologne, Düsseldorf, Mannheim. The city of Trier saw the first concept of round-the-clock bombing, creating a state of constant attack. But Germany was rapidly increasing its anti-aircraft system, copying the British model of dividing into different zones of aerial defense. In mid-1918, they had nearly 900 anti-aircraft guns, 450 searchlights, and 9 whole air squadrons dedicated to attacking Allied bombers. Matthias S1234 writes, as it soon will be the centennial of the Battle of Passchendaele, known as the Third Battle of Ypres, well, yeah, kind of is now, I want to draw your attention to the song The Price of a Mile by the Swedish power metal band Sabaton. You likely heard of the band, as most of their songs deal with military history, but I just wanted to mention it here. World War I has not been covered yet in too many songs of them. Yet I really recommend to listen to them, as their songs either tell it from the perspective of the soldier or in a more neutral manner. As a band member once said, we only tell stories about things that have happened. Yes, of course, we have heard of Sabaton, yeah. And it appears that a lot of our fans are Sabaton fans as well. Hard rock and metal have always been genres influenced by, let's say, darker themes of society. But besides those songs about drinking, fighting, driving motorcycles, it's history that's always been a big part of rock music. Since pretty much the birth of heavy metal music, you had songs about famous people throughout history, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Nostradamus, songs about the violent lives of Vikings or pirates or some other imaginary fantasy figures have always been part of the genre. Sabaton hits a niche here, and that's one reason I think they stand out so much. Making whole albums dedicated to the military history of humankind is pretty rare, especially songs towards recent and often controversial topics. Their covering of the Great War in songs from Gallipoli to Passchendaele is done without pointing fingers or over-glorifying warfare or soldiery. And besides that, they're very talented musicians, and they do make really great music, and especially great live shows. A lot of younger people can become interested in history through their music. Other bands and songs about the Great War, well, we've mentioned Motorhead before. The song 1916 from the album of the same name is pretty powerful about the death of two young British soldiers that became food for the gun, because that's what you are when you're a soldier, which is a powerful anti-war message that differs quite a bit from most of their usual songs, too. Another song that gets referenced in our comment section quite often is Passchendaele from Iron Maiden. Well, I mean, everybody knows Iron Maiden, and they reference warfare quite often in their songs. One of their most famous songs is about a soldier that gets killed in Crimea in battle. So they obviously know their history. Passchendaele, again, is, well, a masterly crafted song. It tells of foreign fields where lonely soldiers lay in unknown graves. British heavy metal has always had a deep connection to the history of their country in the same way that Remembrance Day has become part of British popular culture. Many British bands, like the almighty Saxon, who recently wrote a beautiful rock ballad about Flanders Fields, are deeply connected to how the Great War is perceived in Britain. We'll write some other rock songs about the Great War into the comments, and feel free to leave your suggestions for ones that you think other people should be listening to. When we were filming in Britain at Stowe Marie's Aerodrome, we were told that Bruce Dickinson has his own Fokker DR-1 triplane that he actually flies. Now, if you'd like to see some of our footage from that fantastic field trip, you can click right here for that. And do not forget to like us on Facebook, because Flo posts great things. Don't you, Flo? Yes. See? I make him talk. All right. See you soon.